Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Sports Tech Allstars podcast. We are continuing our Saudi-focused theme, and my guest today is a highly distinguished person who is investing more time in the Saudi market. My guest today is Dr. Margarete Schramboeck, the former Minister for Economic and Digital Affairs in Austria. Twice, I should add. She served in that role. She was previously the CEO of A1 Telecom, which is one of Austria's largest telecom operators. Before that, she's had a long and illustrious career in various tech companies. So somebody who served at the highest level in private and public office. Today, she also serves as a member of the board for Aramco Digital, which connects her to the world of Saudi Arabia. Now, there she focuses on various tech topics from AI to cybersecurity and also, interestingly, sports, where she's brought a couple of companies to Saudi. We cover some of those, the drone racing championship, for example, and other tech companies that she's involved in. Through the conversation, though, we covered why this market is so interesting. A very forward-thinking central administration serving a young population, trying to bring this country forward. It is a really fascinating case study to see what they achieve, aligned with the Vision 2030 and, of course, beyond, with all the major initiatives that they have going. Fascinating conversation with a distinguished speaker. Here's my chat with Dr. Margarete Schramboeck. Dr. Margarete, I know that you have served in a number of roles across private businesses and public office, and now are working in Saudi Arabia, a market of particular interest as part of the series. Any listeners will know we've had the CEO of Fox Sports on, we've had Peter Moore, the former CEO of Liverpool, on, we've had various distinguished people on, and you are a very welcome addition to that list. Walk me through maybe this journey that you've had a little bit from private office to public office to now working in the Saudi market, specifically in the sports industry. I'm most curious about that.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be with you. So, yeah, it has never been on my plan to go to Saudi Arabia. I think these are things you cannot plan, but when the door is opening, and then you have to go through it. And Saudi Arabia for me is a huge opportunity. So, as was when I was 15 years CEO of different tech companies, IT and telecom companies. I was asked to join the Austrian government, which was also not expected for me and not planned, but it was an exciting experience, and it's also a possibility to give something back to my country. So I decided to serve in the government, and then came the opportunity after I had resigned of Saudi Arabia. It was one of the countries I had visited before, and that never, this, when you go somewhere and it never leaves your mind, it's always there a little bit. And so was the case with Saudi Arabia. The people, the development, the growth, the speed, the youth, and the fun that I had in the country. So I thought I'd come back, and this is what I've done.
I mean, you've served, as you mentioned, through the telecom industry and as a Minister for Digital and Economic Affairs. I know you're also serving currently as a board member for Aramco Digital. So clearly you have a leaning towards the development of tech infrastructure. And this is such an important pillar for the sports industry. We briefly connected at the Sports Investment Forum in Riyadh earlier this year, even though we couldn't do this recording there, which would have been lovely, but we have this opportunity. I heard you speak about the growth of the sports sector, but of course, keeping in mind that tech is the pillar that's driving this growth, right? Why do you think that is this major opportunity, or why Saudi is so interested in the sports industry?
Well, definitely it is something new for Saudi Arabia. And it was to some extent several years ago not that easy to do sports in public or to join, especially for women. And now this all has changed with Vision 2030 that His Royal Highness the Crown Prince has launched. Everything is different. Sometimes people don't believe it when they come from outside, but I just heard recently or so that Saudi has their own female sports channel now. So they have their female football team. They have in e-gaming, there is female. So it's a young nation. The average age is 26 years old. So I think this is one of the drivers. And especially this young nation doesn't know anything before. So they are young, fresh, and they want to do sports as many other young people. And this young nation, even of course, they're interested in two types of sport: the physical one, which is good for their health, and also, of course, e-gaming, which is also sports. With His Royal Highness being a gamer himself, plus the focus the country is taking in e-gaming. This is the other side of sports that we have here.
And that's such a very important segment for the Saudis. I mean, we were both also recently at the New Global Sports Conference, which talks about exactly this topic, where the intersection between sports, gaming, and then esports and the, let's say, professionalization of that. We'll come to that in a second. You touched on a very important topic as well, the growth of women's sports. The network that you're talking about is, I believe, Whoopi Goldberg's 24-hour women's sports network is opening in Saudi to cover women's sports in Saudi. So there's multiple areas of growth. Also, at the same time, multiple areas which are looking for international capital, right? I think that's also a bit of, I mean, there is a lot of domestic capital that they're pumping in, but also looking to bring in international capital. Are you working in this area as well? Is it mainly on the tech side? Because we see so much movement in this space.
Well, it happened that some mainly e-gaming came to me. So I have different sectors I'm working for. So infrastructure, which is needed for sports, cable cars, things like that. So this is one sector I'm doing, because infrastructure is the key. If we look at Sports Boulevard, if we look at Trojena, other places, wherever you want to do sports, you need high quality infrastructure for that, and you need to move people, either by themselves or to bring them there. And then the second topic is, of course, AI plays an important role now in the sports sector, supporting sports people as well as adding to what they have done so far. So for me, a new topic was the Drone Champions League, the DCL, which I brought to Saudi Arabia, which is the only sport in the world which is both the same if you play it physically or in a game. So the drone pilots, the best in the world, they came to Saudi Arabia, to Alula, and did the race there. So you can play DCL anytime on Xbox, PlayStation. You put on the goggles, you are there in Alula because the digital twin is inside. Or you race the drone physically. Yeah. And this is an important sport because it's a new type of job also, which is connected with it then, because drone pilots are needed in the whole world. And what they have done now is the next step, moving into AI against human beings, human pilots. So this is how certain new types of forms of sports are arising, which we would not have considered in the past the sport at all, I think.
And on that topic, at NGSC, for example, chess was included at the Esports World Cup, which was a really interesting thing. I mean, they had Magnus Carlsen there, so it makes a lot of sense if you can involve him in the competition. But to your point, sports that you wouldn't really consider in that format, but now you can have a digital version, because digital chess is much more popular than real in-person chess almost. What were your biggest takeaways from that conference? Anything that you felt that changed your mind or just reinforced a particular perspective that you had?
I think it was this fusion of the different types of topics of esports. You said, you named it before, gaming and what we call classical sports, types of sports. So it's now all interlinked. Yeah, we see Formula One was represented in an esports form, even golfing and other things. So I think it can be a catalyst, and it can help sports people to get the right support. So we should use it for that one. I think that was my main takeaway, that this fusion is going to continue. And that there is a huge difference between Europe and the Middle East, especially Saudi Arabia, is this youth, which I mentioned already. So the average age here, 26, it's very young. And then there is not so many strict structures concerning the sports. No, in Europe, we have all these clubs which are old and so on. So they are fresh and new. They can accept things which is difficult to implement. So what I learned is why a lot of people like to come here, because easy to implement, quick decisions. and a passion of a young nation.
Powerful stuff. Dr. Margaret, I know that you also have, I mean, you mentioned already the drone championship. You also work with other tech solutions that you're either presenting, bringing to the Saudi market, or taking elsewhere. We were talking about one of them briefly before we started recording. Can you talk a little bit about that or any other solutions you're working with?
Yeah, what I found is one very interesting one, which is immersive live streaming. And this immersive live streaming is in a quality which I would had never have expected before. I saw it myself when it was launched in Germany at the final of the German Super Cup. And it was also used in a pilot in the tennis US Open, for example, and soon hopefully be used also in one of the Saudi sports event. So you are in your home, you cannot go to the football match, but you want to see it. And then you can see it, of course, on TV, but now you will have the possibility to see it via your goggles. So you have goggles at home, you just book your ticket, and then you are able to use it, and then you can switch the positions. You can see what is on the field from behind the goal, from a side of the football field. So things like that. I think this is new technologies which are coming out, which will completely change the experience we have in the football. I would call it something from a normal seeing, like something like beaming, in between beaming and TV. Yeah. So it's evolution of that one. And so of course, then a lot of people say, okay, I cannot watch it then with my friends and so on. But that's also a next step. It can come. So why not putting on the one is in the US, and you can, in gaming, it happens. People are sitting in all of the world gaming with each other. So people from the traditional sports coming, they cannot imagine that this happened. They think they need to sit in front of the TV together. But why not sitting next to each other, the one in the New York, the other one in London, and then watching it and enjoying it. So I think there is a lot to come. And these are only these DCL and the immersive live streaming are only two ideas and two possibilities, and many more will come.
Of course. And I mean, for example, immersive live streaming has been around. Like I've watched the EuroLeague finals in a set of VR headset, but what you were talking about, that is never before at this quality, where you can really see, for example, the face of the player, which also that you can get really up close. So super interesting. What was the name of the company?
With virtual, it's really live streaming. It's live. So it's you see the match live, but just from abroad, and the quality will be mind blowing. That's really something I had experienced there, which was shown there, and will definitely change the outreach of sports in the future. How many? I don't know. We have 200 million goggles around the world, or many millions. I think it's 100 or 200 something, and they're not really used. There's no really use case because the virtual reality didn't really take off. Actually, not for me, but in sports, these things will happen. I'm convinced.
Yeah, exactly. And sorry, just what is the name of the company that you're talking about?
It's called Soft Seed.
Soft Seat. Yeah, for any of the listeners who want to go check it out, maybe there's a way that you can find it, especially if it's been at the Super Cup and also at the US Open. Fascinating. And this is exactly the kind of stuff that we talk about through our media networks, on this podcast, through our other channels, our newsletter, etc. Like, what is that next evolution of tech consumption, and especially around media broadcasting? Anything which changes the way a fan experiences their sport that they love is a very powerful offering. I want to take a step back to just your, let's say, outside of sports, because I know you've served in different areas. Any particular trends that you are cognizant of, let's say, apart from AI or cybersecurity? I know there's a lot of areas that you're working within the Saudi ecosystem there, but anything particular that stands out to you that you can cast your eye and say that, hey, that's something that I really want to keep a close eye on as a trend developing further?
Well, the mega trend is, of course, AI. So I know this is nothing really new. It's sometimes people say I cannot hear it anymore because it's all about AI, but it's really true. It changes all our lives. So this is, I think, it's like a revolution, like the introduction of the internet. Yeah, I remember well the time when we didn't have an internet. I was grown up. I had my first laptop when I was 23 or something, and my first mobile phone, which was just to dial and not to no smartphone. Now we cannot imagine not having this supercomputer in our pockets, and it changed all our behavior. Private sector, learning, public sector, services, buying, teaching, everything. And AI is such a focal changing point now as well. So it is the trend, of course, bringing about also, of course, risks. But at the moment, I see the benefits of it. Europe also has like a strong risk averse. The discussions always go about the risk concerning AI in connection with AI. We have this less in Saudi Arabia. In Saudi, we have this playful passion about to use it, and I use it daily nowadays. And there is so many things which come from this, which I cannot pick out one. If you would ask me, I think the immersive live streaming will change the world of sports, which will add something to it. You will always go into the stadium. You will always watch TV, especially the elder generation. The younger don't do that live anymore. So, but you have these amazing big screens outside where you can gather and so on. But there is room for new development in this field.
And this is, again, such an important point about how it transforms daily life. You mentioned something about Saudi. I want to maybe shift topics there. We've talked about how young their population is and also how open they are about adopting new technology because of their young energy. Apart from that, or maybe just doubling down on that, what has been most impressive to you about how Saudi is approaching their infrastructure, their tech adoption strategies? What can the West perhaps learn from how this market is approaching some of these topics?
Well, the most important topic in Saudi is this tremendous change written down in its Vision 2030. And whatever young kid you ask in the kindergarten, in the school, and old people, whomever you ask, everybody knows Vision 2030. Everybody.
Right.
So this is different to anything we have in any other country, that it is known, it's communicated well, and it's put with KPIs. So the KPIs play an important role here. And I did not see this in any other country, where the targets and the vision is broken down in KPIs, and everybody knows it's his KPIs. So there's one for the educational sector, there's one for the health and the sports, there is another one for the infrastructure, the other one for bringing in new technologies and companies. So everybody knows, and this is also tracked. So there is continuous reviews on this, and everybody knows, okay, it goes into this direction. And it has mobilized in a way that nobody else has this in the world. Otherwise, like a country of that size with 22 million Saudis and 10 million expats could not change that quickly, because it really changed fast. And this continues to change. Each time I come back to Riyadh, I live in Riyadh, but when I go to Europe and I come back, like after in summertime, for a few weeks, or days, I always see something new. And this is what you can feel here. This change is structured. It is monitored in a way, and it's also,
Communicated.
organized. Yeah, organized. And this
Organized
is,
in that.
I think this is the main difference. Now, the main
And that's
difference to a lot of systems.
the power of alignment of that vision. When you bring everybody to one place, then everybody kind of knows where they stand. Again, good communication as
Yeah.
well. And that's a really powerful way to make sure that everybody is pointing in the right direction and growing in the same way. And let's take a step ahead. What's coming up over the next 6, 12, 18 months that you are looking forward to? Any particular developments, any new initiatives that you're a part of? You've mentioned that, I mean, at any point in time, there's always a lot going on in Saudi and in Riyadh. Anything that you can share?
Yeah, so of course Aramco Digital is doing a lot of initiatives. One of the most important for the country is definitely the connectivity projects we are going after. So we are launching a new 450 megahertz network. This is it's also for sports, because the sports stadium can use it then. And it's safe communication for helping automizing the industrial sector. and infrastructures, also for, of course, the stadiums which are coming up. Yeah, it's such big sports event request a very safe communication. So it is not good if the people working for such share the network with the consumers, because in case something happens, the network will break down, the normal one, and will be overloaded with people sending out pictures or something like this. This is an important project which is rolled out at the moment by one of the companies I'm in the board of, in Aramco Digital. So that's one of our targets. Then we do have a big transformation in the coming with big events. So there's Expo coming up 2030. There is the World Cup coming up then after that. So there is a lot of things Riyadh and the whole Saudi Arabia is preparing for. This, of course, enables, as it is greenfield. There is no stadium which fulfills the requests and the ideas His Royal Highness has about how the country should present itself. So it's built from scratch. So Aramco is building one of the stadiums, and soon are gonna be finished, and it will be, so it's a blueprint, and there will be a lot of digital stadiums. So there is this strategy of having a digital stadium. So you have the physical, but you have the digital stadium. Yeah. So this twofold strategy in the implementation of big events like Expo and World Cup, that makes it really exciting.
Yeah, and we covered especially some of those new stadium builds in our Saudi focus report. And who hasn't downloaded it, you can go check that out. We covered especially the Aramco Stadium that you're talking about. Such an exciting time. There's so much happening all together at the same time. It's hard to keep track. But thank you for sharing everything that you're keeping an eye out for. And also thank you so much for joining us, for taking the time. Dr. Margaret, I have one last question before I let you go. As you know, we are a sports focused, a sports innovation focused podcast. I always want to ask my guests what has been their favorite sporting moment.
My favorite sport, coming from a skiing village. I'm born in Kitzbühel, which is the place where the Formula One of skiing races takes place, the Hahnenkamm race, and I'm born right next to it. So, of course, my favorite moment is skiing. Even if I live in the desert, some people ask me how this goes together, but I must say Saudi has a snow sports federation. I also know the first skier as part of the Olympics, and I have brought him together with one of our biggest Austrian sports brands called Head. That's Austrian. So you know Head from tennis and also Head from skiing. So they are now his sponsor. I'm happy and proud of that. So I know my heart skiing will always have a place in my heart, and especially when there is this race coming up.
I have to go check out some YouTube highlights of the Formula One of skiing. I did not know about this event, so I'll make sure I do that. I'll suggest that to all our listeners as well. Dr. Margaret, thank you once again for taking the time.
Pleasure.
All right, that is a wrap for another episode, and I think that'll bring an end to our Saudi Focus series. We might have one more episode to come. If you want more, obviously, check out our newsletter for all the latest updates. You have the Saudi report as well. There's so much. I cannot stress this enough. Every time I go to Riyadh, lives there, and she feels that I go there every 6 months or so, and it's hard to keep track of everything that's happening. It's such an interesting dynamic economy for the world of sports, investment, and innovation. So I would highly recommend that you keep track, and Sports Tech X can help you do that as well. All right, guys. See you soon.